Priyanka ma'am, shall we start the session?
Yes, Vicky sir. Okay, start करूँ?
Okay ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I, Priyanka Rathod, on the behalf of SIRT Pharmacy and Sage Group, would like to welcome our third speaker of today's session, respected Captain Nitin Joshi, sir. Namaskar, sir. Retired from Indian Army, corporate soft skill trainer from Pune. And before starting, I would like to give a brief introduction about sir. Sir has more than 20 years of experience in various areas like the Indian Army, education and hospitality sectors. Sir has completed his diploma in hotel management from Rizvi College, Mumbai. Sir has completed his postgraduate in defense and strategic studies from Pune University. He is an NLP practitioner certified by American Board of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, certified trainer in emotional intelligence from Learners Conclave, certified basic career counselor from Mentoria. Sir has done training, and training has been an integral part of his work in all these areas. Training is his passion, and in 2016, Sir has decided to turn his passion into his profession in the form of his company, Wisdom Mind. Communication skills, public speaking, leadership, business communications, presentation skills, grooming, team building and managing teams, effective employee engagement, resume making, group discussion, and personal interview are just some of the areas in which he has conducted trainings in corporates and colleges. Sir has a hand-on style of training that involves participation of the audience and activities. He's also like to use storytelling to make his trainings more interesting. Sir's basic main strength, which make him a good trainer, are his sense of humor, his ability to connect with people from a wide range of backgrounds, and his ability to grasp any topic fast. In addition, Nitin sir is also a good communicator, is a good orator, and a public speaker. So, and today, sir will deliver a lecture on an interesting topic, that is leadership through emotional intelligence. So with these words, I would like to invite sir for his session. So please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. And thank you all for this opportunity. And initially there was some issue with the audio. I hope it's sorted out. I hope I'm audible to all of you now. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And it is 2:30 in the afternoon. I understand it is just post-lunch, and attending a lecture post-lunch can often be very, very challenging. I understand because I have myself been, if I may use the term, at the receiving end of many such lectures. So, but this is the perfect time to talk about emotional intelligence, because I'm sure many people would be quite emotional right now. So let me just start off. With the screen sharing first. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. I hope you can.
Sir, I also have some of the questions which you provided for the poll. So whenever
Yes.
you will ask me, I will put the poll.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, all right. So let me start off with a small story. This is a very small and interesting story, and stories are something that we can all relate to. So there's a nice, interesting story that I just got a chance to read today. That there is a donkey that is tied to a tree. Okay, there is a donkey that is tied to a tree. A devil comes and unties the donkey. Okay, and the donkey runs into the field and starts destroying the crops. The farmer's wife, whose field it is, she sees this and shoots the donkey dead. Okay, the donkey's owner gets upset. He comes and shoots the farmer's wife. The farmer comes back and sees his wife dead. He gets very angry. He goes and shoots the owner of the donkey. The wife of the owner of the donkey asks her sons to go and burn down the farmer's house. Both these boys, they go and they do this very gladly. Sadly for them, the farmer is not at home. So he comes back and he sees that his house has been burned down. So he goes and he shoots the wife of the donkey owner and his sons. Okay. Then the farmer asks the donkey, the devil, why did you do this? Why did you have to untie the donkey? And the devil says something very interesting. The devil says, I did not do anything. I just untied the donkey. Rest everything was done by you. Okay. Now, in this story, the devil, now we all know that the devil doesn't exist somewhere out there. The devil is all within us. And if I can relate this story, this story is somewhat of an analogy. And if I can relate this story to our real life or to how we live our life, then you will realize that the devil is nothing but inside us and our minds. The donkey in this case is a particular situation that we often face in life. And the way the characters of the story have reacted is the way that we often react in life. Whenever we are faced with any situation, if we really go back and see how we have reacted, and especially situations in which there has been some kind of a altercation or a fight, or situations that have ended not exactly the way we wanted them to, and how often do we, when we look back and we think about it, we realize that maybe the situation could have ended differently. Maybe I could have behaved in a different manner, or maybe someone else could have behaved in a different manner, but more or less the situation could have ended in a much better way. It could have been handled better. This is where emotional intelligence comes into play. The reason why we face such situations in life as professionals or as leaders or even in family or in group is because we get controlled by our emotions. And the reason why we get controlled by our emotions is because we are not at times emotionally intelligent. Okay, or we are not aware of our own emotions and the emotions of other people. Now, we are all human beings, right? We are all human beings. We all work with other human beings. As leaders, we handle other human beings, and we know that human emotions are a very, very strong factor in humans' behavior, our own as well as others. And being emotionally intelligent just means that you are able to understand and handle your own emotions and the emotions of other people better. That's about it. When you say a person is very, very understanding, what it basically means is the person is emotionally intelligent. So after this lecture, if you go and you know see such people who are there in your environment, who you say that okay, this person is very, very understanding, so try and correlate these with that person's behavior, and you will realize that yes, that person is understanding, or that person is able to handle situations better because that person is able to understand and handle emotions much better. And that's why the person is, as we say, much uh, understanding kind of a person. So emotional intelligence, or also known as emotional quotient, it is the key to success. It is more important than intelligence quotient. Okay, normally in our society, or the way we have created the environment around us, we normally give more weightage, more value to intelligence quotient, IQ. But emotional quotient is more important. It has been proven now than intelligence quotient, and studies have shown that organizations that give importance to EI are more productive than those that do not. This basically means that organizations which are more humane, are more understanding, or organizations that are able to balance the human factor more, are successful in the long run, as are leaders. Okay, and if you again see in your immediate environment, uh, leaders or colleagues who are understanding, who are strict whenever required, but when required, they give a little bit of a leeway and understanding based on human considerations, they are the people who generally end up more successful. Okay, being emotionally intelligent doesn't mean that you always give in to what the other person is asking for or their demand. It simply means you understand what triggers the other person's behavior. Okay, but the question is, what is EI? What exactly is EI? Okay, so EI basically means to be aware of our own emotions and the emotions of others. More importantly, to be in control of these emotions, to be in control of your own emotions, to know how these emotions guide our actions, and to be able to empathize with others. Okay, so At the back of the mind, we all know that we are human beings and that our colleagues are human beings and that our juniors are human beings and that our contemporaries are human beings and they have emotions. Back of the mind, everyone knows that. Being emotionally intelligent simply means when you are able to bring this knowledge into your actions. Okay. It so often happens, that, I mean, whenever we are in a situation, the example that I gave you in the beginning, that we face a situation, we overreact, and then at the end of it, either we feel bad or we realize that we have been wrong or we realize that the situation could have been handled better. So emotional intelligence basically means having this knowledge at a time when it really matters. Okay. So what are the consequences of low emotional intelligence? We get into arguments. Okay. Again, if you go back to any argument that you may have had, so most of the arguments happen, okay, especially arguments with your colleagues or your close ones, they happen because you don't know the trigger of the other person's words or why the other person is behaving the way they are behaving. Okay, so we get into an argument without really understanding the background, or it may happen the other way around. Okay, you do not understand how other people feel. Simple as that. Sometimes, in order to show how strict I am, we end up saying and doing things that hurt others. Okay, and we act inconsiderate of other people's feelings, right? So we do not understand how other people feel. We think that other people are overly sensitive. Okay, so a particular thing may not be of great importance to us. So I may not react to that particular thing in a particular way, but the other person might react sensitively to that. Okay, so if I'm emotionally intelligent, I understand that yes, the other person is not overly sensitive, but a particular topic is very sensitive to the other person, right? And we have all faced situations like this in life, when someone we see that someone suddenly starts crying or someone suddenly gets sad and we are not able to understand as to why this person is feeling sad, but later on someone tells us that yes, this particular topic or this particular issue is of a lot of emotional importance to that person. We don't feel that way, but once we know, we take care not to hurt the other person. Okay, we blame others for our mistakes. Simple as that. Every time that we have blamed other people for our mistakes, we have not been in understanding of their emotions. Again, this is not to say that every time something goes wrong, we take the blame on ourselves. But at times when we are at mistake, we need to own up. We are unable to cope with emotionally charged situations. Now, all of us face such situations. All of us face emotionally charged situations, and we need to handle them very carefully. Otherwise, the fallout might be, I would say, not be a very desirable kind of a fallout. But we are unable to do that again because we are not emotionally intelligent. That is to say, we are not in touch with our own emotions or the emotions of other people. Okay. The problem is that, it's not correct to say that we are not in touch with our emotions. We are very much in touch with our emotions. The problem arises because we are not in touch with our emotions when it matters, okay, or when it should happen, okay, or when it really matters the most. We are not in touch with our emotions at the right time. And the whole idea of being emotionally intelligent is being in touch with our emotions at the right time. Okay, we experience certain emotional outbursts. Okay, so if we don't know what our triggers are, or if we have not been very careful to study as to what exactly are the kind of situations where I get emotional, we do not prepare ourselves, or we are not mentally prepared to face the kind of emotional onslaught that we might face. And then we experience certain emotional outbursts. We behave in a way that, is very unbecoming of us. And later on, we are ourselves surprised. Why did I behave like this? That is again because we have not been emotionally intelligent enough, and we have not kind of been on our guard when getting into that kind of a situation. We lack empathy. Okay, that's again in keeping with saying that we don't understand how others feel. Okay, benefits of high emotional intelligence: effective communication. Okay, so communication is most important. It's like the lifeblood of any organization. Okay, if you want to keep any association alive and going, you have to be able to communicate effectively. But it's not just what you communicate, it's also how you communicate with the other people. And for that, it is very, very important that you be emotionally intelligent. You understand how the other people feel about a certain topic. You become an effective listener. Okay, because the whole idea of showing empathy. In the previous slide, I spoke about empathy. The whole idea of empathy is to be able to listen to what the other people have to say and to digest it and to process it. Okay. We are successful in managing difficult situations because we know what are the emotions behind these situations, what are the emotions behind people's actions, and what are triggering them, other people's actions, as well as our own actions. Okay. We make other feel comfortable in sharing their ideas. And so in other words, we become more trustworthy. Okay. If we are emotionally intelligent, we become more trustworthy. All of us have seen, I mean, at least I have seen leaders and seniors, who were very, very strict when it mattered. Okay, when it came to matters of discipline, they were very strict and absolutely no leeway given over there. But still, you felt comfortable in their company. You felt like trusting them. You felt like opening up to them. You felt that yes, you could go and talk to them because when it mattered, they were understanding of you. Okay, they were not like strict and unreasonable at all times. There were times when they actually, they were able to bring up the human side in themselves, and they were really able to, empathize with you when it mattered. So this is what it means about being emotionally intelligent. Okay, we remain optimistic and have a positive attitude because herein again nothing else but we know how to handle a particular situation, and when we know how to handle a particular situation and not allow it to escalate beyond a point, automatically I think we become very, very positive about the whole thing. Okay, all right. We become empathetic and compassionate towards others. That is quite self-explanatory. Again, remaining calm and handling pressure effectively, self-explanatory. We become open to positive and negative feedback. Now, this is again very important in all walks of life, in whatever work we do, wherever we go. We have to be open to all kinds of feedback. Okay, positive feedback and negative feedback. Now, everybody is open to positive feedback. Okay, but not many people, they take negative feedback very well. They react, they overreact, they get angry, they get withdrawn. But a negative feedback is just somebody pointing out to some possible fault in your system that needs to be fixed. So you should be thankful for it. And when you are emotionally intelligent, especially you're intelligent about your own emotions, you know that yes, I have to take this feedback in a positive way. I have to, rather than looking at it as a negative feedback, I have to look at it as a corrective feedback or as a constructive feedback or a feedback that is going to help me to improve. Okay. At that time, even if you start feeling agitated, you become aware of it. Okay. Now, becoming aware of it is the first step. As I said, emotional intelligence is all about understanding your emotions and not being controlled by them. So when you are aware of it, most of the time what happens is that when we get into any state of emotion, when we get angry, when we get very happy, or when we get excited, we don't know that this emotion is coming on. It is only after the event has subsided and the emotion has subsided that we realize, Arey, I was angry. Arey, I was so excited. I was so happy. Okay. In this case, what happens is you become aware when somebody is giving you a negative feedback and you are becoming agitated because of it. You instantly become aware that I am becoming agitated. Okay, I am becoming agitated. I should not become agitated. Let me understand why this person is giving me a negative feedback. Maybe it genuinely is my fault, or maybe I have genuinely done something wrong, or maybe the work that I have done, or the article that I have written, or the video that I have posted genuinely has some drawbacks that need to be corrected. Okay, and then you will be open to this kind of a feedback. So that's what being open to negative feedback is all about. Okay, or being open to negative situations is all about, that you become aware of a situation or an emotion when it is arising. Okay, see, post the situation or post the event, everybody is emotionally intelligent. Okay, post the event, everybody is aware that I was angry, but then that doesn't really help you. Okay, you have to understand, you have to nip it in the bud, or you have to understand the emotion in the bud, whether it is a positive emotion or a negative emotion. So if you're getting a negative feedback from someone, or if somebody is really criticizing you in a constructive manner and you begin to feel agitated, if you are emotionally intelligent, you become aware that there itself and you calm down. Okay, motivating themselves and others around you. Again, very, very important. If you know what triggers your emotions, the positive as well as negative, and what triggers the emotions of others around you, then it becomes very easy for you to motivate yourself and motivate others around you. Okay, because you know what drives them, or if I can say, what makes them tick. Okay, so these are the 7 basic emotions. All of us have experienced these emotions: anger, happiness, fear, disgust, surprise, love, sadness. Okay, there are many other emotions. That it's not just so simple that these are just 7 different emotions. There are many other emotions that we feel, but these are most of the emotions that we feel. Okay, we feel anger, we feel happiness, we feel fear, we feel disgust, surprise, love, sadness. Can any one of you please name some more emotions? If you think that there are some more emotions that can be named, can you please just either use the chat box or just briefly unmute yourself and tell me if you feel that there are some more emotions other than these. Anyone?
Participants, you may write in the chat box as well, and also you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, just briefly unmute yourself and let me know. Just for a second. These are the basic emotions, but if you think there are some other emotions other than this that we feel.
Anyone would like to speak?
Yes, please. Okay, anxiety, frustration. Yes, some of you are naming these emotions. There is anxiety, there is frustration. Yes. If you see, there is something very interesting over here. Uh, if you look at all the negative emotions, if you talk about fear, disgust, anxiety, frustration, disappointment. Somebody has written disappointment. Yes. So if you see all the negative emotions, if you talk about anger, fear, disgust, anxiety, frustration, you will realize that all these emotions, they are like different shades of each other. They are different shades of each other, and whenever you experience a surge of negative emotions, you go through the entire spectrum of it starts off with anxiety, then it becomes anger, then it becomes frustration, ends with disappointment. Similarly, positive emotions, you talk about happiness, love, trust. So all these emotions, happiness, love, trust, when you are with someone you love, you feel happiness because you trust that person. So all these emotions, they are different shades of each other. The positive emotions, there is a positive spectrum of emotions, and the negative emotions, the negative spectrum of emotions, they are all different shades of each other. Okay. So that's why usually if you encounter any positive situation, you will find that you encounter more than one of these emotions. When you encounter a negative situation, you will find that you encounter more than one of these negative emotions, right? But the problem is how many times do we do this? How many times do we ask ourselves, what emotions have we experienced in the past 24 hours? Okay, now we come to the real I would say the meat of today's topic. How many of us do this? How many of us really ask ourselves, what emotions have you experienced in the last 24 hours? Can any one of you briefly, and you can use the chat box for this, can any one of you briefly just take about 1 minute, and can any one of you briefly note down what emotions have you experienced in the last 24 hours? Anyone? And how many of us do this regularly? How many of us really ask ourselves, what emotions have I experienced in the last 24 hours? Can anyone, would anyone like to take a shot at this? Okay, trust and anger. All right, anyone else? All right. All right. So one of okay, excited and anxious. Okay, so trust and anger, excited and anxious. So I see you know like most of us, you all have been through happy, frustrated, anxious, happy. Okay. So yes, I see. Most of us, you also have been on a roller coaster of emotions. Trust and anger, excited and anxious, happy, frustration, anxious, and then back to happy. That's a good thing. You're back to happy. Okay, frustrated. Oh, okay. Somebody is only frustrated. That's bad. Okay, I hope it turns into positive emotions very soon. Anyway, so the reason why I asked you this is because the whole idea of being emotionally intelligent is being aware of what emotions we have experienced. Okay, that is the first step rather towards understanding what emotions have we experienced. Many of us, especially the men, we are not very comfortable acknowledging our emotions. Okay, given the kind of environment that we stay in and we work in, we are most of the time not very comfortable acknowledging our emotions. Okay, or we think that, okay, especially we men, we think that emotions are something that only women are supposed to feel, not men. Okay, or at least not acknowledge them, right? That is the kind of uh, I would say the whole general environment that we have. So very few of us really understand or acknowledge that what emotions we have experienced in the last 24 hours. So the very first step, I would say, is to acknowledge that yes, I experienced these emotions. Okay, I really wanted more of you to be able to tell me the answer to this question. That these are the experience that I have experienced in the last 24 hours. These are the emotions that I have experienced in the last 24 hours. Okay, then it will be a very good idea if you can do this analysis. Okay, what is the frequency of these emotions? Okay, we all go through different emotions or different shades of emotions throughout the day. On a typical day, you get up in the morning, you're getting ready for the work, then you step out. Of course, not nowadays. Nowadays, I understand we are all working from home, but on an average day when there is no corona around, so we all step out of the work. Okay, typically we encounter the morning traffic. In the morning traffic, we either get angry or frustrated, or we remain indifferent towards it. We keep listening to our music and we keep going. Then we reach the office. Sometimes there is a surprise waiting for us, or maybe there is a lot of workload that triggers a lot of emotions in us. If we are able to understand exactly what emotions we feel, okay, and how we feel and what percent of the time, that becomes the second step in understanding yourself. Okay, uh, emotional intelligence starts with yourself. Okay, you have to be emotionally intelligent, you have to first understand yourself, your own emotions, then the emotions of others. So if I can go back to the previous slide. Okay, what emotions have you experienced in the past 24 hours? Okay. That is to say, what are the emotions you experience most frequently, and what are the emotions that you experience most of the time? Now, I have written over here percentage of times. It doesn't necessarily have to be percentage of times. You don't have to do some mathematics in this to, say that, okay, I experience anger 5.7% of the time and happiness 6.8% of the time. ऐसा नहीं करना है. This is just for you to know what is your predominant emotion that you feel. What is the predominant emotion that we feel and I feel? And if you really start doing this exercise sincerely, believe me, try this for the next 2 to 3 days, and it will come as a revelation and a surprise to you, because we don't realize, many a times we spend the entire day being very, very fearful, or we spend the entire day being very surprised, or we spend the entire day being predominantly angry. Okay. And we really don't realize that I have spent my entire day predominantly under the influence of this emotion. Okay, and then you wonder why at the end of the day you are feeling drained out or exhausted. And of course it is equally true for all the happy emotions, but happy emotions we are more aware of. Okay, so these exercises, if you do sincerely, if you do them for the next few days, what emotions have you experienced in the past 24 hours, and what is the most predominant emotion? If you can note down what are the 2 or 3 most predominant emotions that you felt throughout the day, it will tell you a very good idea. It will give you a very good idea about what exactly, uh, why you are feeling the way you are feeling. If your predominant emotion throughout the day have been in the negative spectrum, then don't be surprised if at the end of the day you are feeling drained out and very, very tired and uninterested in anything. Likewise, if your predominant emotions throughout the day have been positive, happiness, surprise, love, hope, then at the end of the day you will still be feeling charged up. Okay, then the next thing is, what are the triggers? Now, if you can write these things down, okay. Now, of course, I'll because we have constraint of time, so I wouldn't want to ask you to write down in the chat box, but if you can just make a note of this, and for your own benefit, for your own sake, and this is not a very difficult thing to do, okay. If you can just spend some time on this, and if you can write down, okay, what are the emotions I have experienced in the past 24 hours? What has been my most predominant 2 or 3 emotions? And what are the triggers for these emotions? Okay, it may take you a day or two to really understand and notice these things. Why it may take you a day or two to do these things is because we don't do these things very often. Most of us don't. Most of us don't. Even I was not doing these things, before I got my training on emotional intelligence. But when I started doing this, believe me, it was a surprise for me. And I assure you, if you start doing this, it will be a surprise for you also. So what are the emotions that I experienced in the last 24 hours? What are my most 2 or 3 most predominant emotions that I feel? And what triggers those emotions? Are there particular people who trigger these emotions in me? That when this person comes in front of me, I feel, a particular kind of emotions, positive as well as negative. Are there certain places that trigger these emotions in me? Okay. Are there certain words, or are there something, things that people say, or a particular topic that is being discussed? Does that trigger my emotions? Or is it a particular time of the day? I maybe I might feel very happy in the morning. In the afternoon, I might feel very sluggish or frustrated. In the evening, I might be feeling different. Or are there certain memories that trigger my emotions? Okay. And if you do this for the few days, you get a pattern. You get a pattern and you understand why you behave the way you do. Okay. And it is very important that you identify these things. Okay. What are your predominant emotions? What are the emotions that you feel mostly in the course of the day? And what are the things that trigger these emotions? Why do you need to know these things? Because if you are getting triggered by a certain thing, okay, if you are getting triggered by a particular kind of a stimulus, or if a particular situation or a particular provocation is acting as a trigger for you time and again, then somebody is bound to notice it and manipulate you. Okay. And again, this is not something very far-fetched. We all have experienced and seen situations like this around us, when somebody likes to, when we were small. Now let me give an example of our childhood. When we were small children and we wanted to tease someone, we wanted to tease a friend, we knew what makes this friend angry. So we would again keep on bringing up that topic. We would again keep on, calling that person by a certain name. That person would get angry. That person would start crying, throw a fit, throw a tantrum, and we would have a nice time laughing and having fun with that person, right? We all have done that. As small children, we all have done that. The grown-up version is that when somebody realizes that yes, you get provoked in a certain situation, or something makes you angry, without you knowing, they will very subtly manipulate you, and they will try to provoke you, make you angry, or bring you in a situation where you are bound to commit a mistake. That's why it is very important that you first know yourself. Okay. Know your emotions, know what are the emotions that you predominantly feel, and then know what are the triggers to these emotions. Okay. Knowing this, simply it is there so that you don't get manipulated by others. Okay. The reason why other people are able to manipulate you is because uh, you're not aware of your own emotions. Okay. All right. So this is what emotional intelligence is all about. As you can see, this table in front of you, this quadrant in front of you, awareness and management. So in self, it is all about self-awareness and self-control and self-management. Okay. So first step, as I said, what are the emotions that I felt in the last 24 hours? What are my predominant emotions? And what are the things that trigger these emotions? So once you are aware of that, it is followed by self-control and self-management. So you are able to control yourself better. Okay. You're able to control yourself better and you're able to manage yourself better. You don't get manipulated by others. If you have ever been in a situation where you feel that, yes, I have been manipulated by others, I have been manipulated by others, then you can always ask yourself, and if you replay that situation, you will know that somewhere or the other that person has acted as a trigger, and that person has, you know, as you say, chabi lagai thi aapko on a certain topic about which you were very emotional, you were not aware of it, that person had noticed it, and so they were able to manipulate you. Next step is others, knowing others, or also known as social awareness, and that leads to good relationship management. Okay. Uh, Emotions is also a lot about information. We are not really aware of this, or we don't really see emotions as a source of information. Okay, but if you really become aware of your own information or own emotions or the emotions of others, it will provide you with a lot of very important and very interesting information. How? Now, we all have been in a situation where we have said, that I myself don't know how I will behave in a certain situation. है ना? मुझे नहीं पता मैं इस situation में कैसे react करूंगा. I will get angry. I will do this. I will do that. Okay. Or when we talk about another person, we say that this person is very unpredictable. इसका कुछ कह नहीं सकते. ये कभी गुस्सा हो जाता है, कभी शांत रहता है. ठीक है? Why? Because emotions give you a lot of information. What kind of information? Information about what this person likes, what this person doesn't like, how this person behaves. Okay, what exactly is this person's feeling about a certain topic or a certain thing or a certain person. So emotions provide us with a lot of information. Okay, we know all the factual information about a person. Okay, that person's education, qualifications, job title, designation, experience, the entire resume, we know that. But the reason why there is a very big gap is because we don't study the emotions of a person. Okay, and that's an extremely important part if you are going to be in a leadership role, or forget about leadership role, even if you are going to be a part of a team, if you are going to be working as a part of a team, a very important part for a leader or any team member is to know the people who are going to be there with you or working under you as your subordinates. And a very important part of knowing them is knowing their emotions. Okay, the factual information about them you have, it will either be in the form of a resume or you might ask that person during the interview. But to really know that person, to really understand that person, you have to know about the person's emotions. If you want to be a good leader, if you want to be a good team member, you have to understand this information that comes from the emotions of that person. What is the person emotional about? What does the person, what triggers that person, or in what kind of a situation the person behaves in what way? Does the person get anxious? Does the person get tense? Does the person get excited? Does the person get angry? Is the person always positive? That's an extremely important information that comes from studying the person's emotions in every situation. Okay. Now, something very interesting, whenever there is a cricket tournament, like now IPL is going on. So you must have seen that, days before the tournament starts, the team, they goes, the teams, they go to the particular place and they start practicing. Okay. Or if, let's say, Indian cricket team is practicing. Yes, somebody raised a hand. I think somebody raised a hand over here.
Sir, I think it might be by mistake.
Sorry? By mistake. Okay, no problem. No problem. So, or you must have seen, or that, let's say when the Indian cricket team is going to Australia to play, so they go at least 2 to 3 weeks before the actual match starts. Why? Firstly, of course, it is to get used to the situation and the conditions over there. But secondly, it is also for the team to bond together, the team to play together. Okay. And the whole idea of the team bonding together or playing together is the team understands each other as people. In other words, the team should understand each other's emotions. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot. That is when it becomes a team. Otherwise, you can just catch hold of any 11 people. Catch hold of one wicket keeper, 4 5 batsmen, 2 3 bowlers, and some fielders, and throw them together and send them to Australia just a day before the match starts, right? But why do they have to go there so many days in advance? They have to practice and they have to know each other. There are some newcomers in the team, and all the other players, they might be meeting after a long time. They have to know how a particular player will behave in a situation. The captain of the team has to know who's the player that I can depend on in a crunch situation, who's the person, who will handle a pressure situation better than the others. Okay. uh, when we are when I was in the army, you know uh, we used to train together. We were in the academy for almost 1 year together, and we trained together. Okay, and we were put through a lot of very, very rough and tough sort of training programs. When you do this kind of a training together, you understand each other so well, and you develop such a strong bond with each other, because you get connected at an emotional level, because you have been through such a lot of difficulty together, and you know each other through and through. So this is extremely important. Emotions provide you with a lot of information. So whenever you are in a situation next time, observe how people behave. It will give you a lot of extremely, extremely important information about that person. Somebody has asked a question: can we control our emotions through silence or meditation? Yes, we can. I'll be talking about it later, about silence and meditation. But definitely very, very strong tools, silence and meditation, both to control our emotions. Thank you for asking this question. Okay, so let's understand a little bit about how our brain works. Okay, because our brains are where our information or our emotions are. Okay, so don't worry, I'll not be talking about neuroscience over here. Okay, it is just a basic overview of how our brain works, so that we can understand. So you might be able to see on your screen in front of you the basic layers of a brain. This is how our brain is basically built. Not an exactly a very scientific model, but just an overview to give you the idea of the basic construction of our brain. So the innermost layer, the white colored layer that you see, that is the reptilian brain. Okay, or the brain from our most ancient ancestors. When our ancient ancestors, lakhs of years ago, they had just started coming down from the trees and started living on the ground. Then the yellow layer that you see on the top of that, that is the limbic area, which deals with the emotions. And the orange area that you see at the top of it, that is the neocortex. That is the seat, or what we call the mammalian brain, or the higher brain. Okay, or what we call the brain that deals with all the complex scientific and logical and artistic thinking. Okay, so that is the basic structure of our brain. Whenever a very interesting thing over here is that whenever now when our ancestors were staying in the jungles, before human civilization had come into being, or before we had villages or other settlements. Okay, our ancestors, what we call the early man, they were staying out in the open fields, where there was danger all around. Okay, where any point of time there used to be wild animals around, they could easily kill and eat them up or finish them off. So 24/7, they were always primed to look out for danger. Okay, and any strange movement or any strange sound around them, or anything that was unfamiliar, if they moved into a new territory, or if there was something that they were not used to, that used to be immediately perceived as danger, and that used to trigger a fight and flight response. Okay, that is because they were surrounded by danger 24/7, and if they didn't have this kind of a response, they would die. They would all have been killed off. So it was this response that kept them alive. Whenever you see somebody reacting instantly, or somebody, when we say overreacting to a situation, you can take it that it is this, the reptilian brain, that is coming into play, because something is being perceived as a danger, something is being perceived as हम बोलते हैं ना कि तू overreact क्यों हो रहा है, or why are you reacting like this. Something has triggered a memory, something has triggered a response in that person. Okay, or maybe even in yourself, that has been perceived as a survival threat. It may not be survival threat, but that has been perceived as survival threat. Okay, because this area of the brain has become functional. Okay, over the top of that is the limbic brain. Okay, the part of the brain that deals with emotions, and on the top of that is the neocortex, the part of the brain that deals with what we call constructive thinking or scientific thinking. Okay, that's why, if you remember, if you go back to a time when we were all small, our elders used to tell us that don't behave or don't react in a situation immediately. Count up till 10. Okay, or take some deep breath. Okay, cool down and then react. Or sometimes we are even told that if you're in a situation which is potentially very aggressive, or you might get agitated, move out of the situation. Okay, relax, let things cool down, and then come back and address it again. in the reptilian brain. And instead of reacting to it immediately, what you are doing is you are giving a time delay, you are giving a time gap, or you are moving out of that situation in the previous slide, the reptilian brain. Okay. The reptilian brain of our ancestors, which was developed to see or understand danger, and some of it even we have inherited. So it is this small red colored thing, there is the culprit. Okay, so whenever there is an emotionally charged situation, or somebody is overreacting, or somebody has behaved in a very you can say unreasonable manner, which you think is unreasonable, most of the time the culprit is this little red colored thing over here, known as the amygdala, that that really triggers it. Okay, and that shuts down all the reasonable or positive thinking. This is known as amygdala hijack. It's a situation which is known as amygdala hijack. Whenever somebody gets very excited or somebody gets very angry, known as amygdala hijack. Okay, so this is the kind of situation where we feel before we think. Okay, or maybe we don't even think, we just feel, and we perceive a danger, and we sort of go into the hyper kind of a mode. Later on, of course, when we calm down, when we cool down, and we think back about the whole situation, we might even feel a bit of humorous about it. But at that moment, it is an absolute chaos. Okay, and so many of us must have seen this, or we have must have even felt it. That you behaved in a certain situation in a certain way, in a very intense way. Later on, when you remember it, you might laugh at it. Arey yaar, main kaise behave kar raha tha? But at that time, that seems to be the right thing to do, because this red color spot, this culprit, your amygdala, has hijacked your thinking at that time. Okay, all right. So how to withstand it? Basically, think rationally, think emotionally. What I told you just some time back, that in a situation like this, somebody needs to think rationally and think emotionally, especially if you're a leader, if you're the senior, or if you're someone in that group, who has maybe brought the group together, or if you're a person in position of responsibility, you need to think rationally and respond rather than react. Okay, reaction is something that happens instantaneously. Respond is something that comes after due process, due thought, due diligence. That is known as a response. Okay, and for that, it is very important that you allow the information to reach the rest of the brain. One of you asked me a question: can we control our emotions through breathing and meditation? Now, meditation is something that you should be doing as a regular part of your daily routine, either in the morning or in the evening, whatever time of the day. But it is something that should become regular. Breathing, yes, breathing is again something that you can do at any time, especially if you are in a very I would say agitated kind of a situation, or in an emotionally charged situation. Okay, and you want to avoid reacting in a manner that you might feel bad about it later. That is where breathing comes into play. So the answer to your question is yes, you can very much control your emotions through breathing. How? Whenever we get into an emotionally charged situations, whenever we are angry, okay, stop, tell yourself, just breathe in and breathe out deep a couple of times, and you will find that your thinking changes instantly. Okay, whenever you are tempted, next time, whenever you are tempted to, in an emotionally charged situation, to say something to someone, very harsh words to someone, or even if you are very happy, if you are very excited, and in that state of excitement or happiness, if you are tempted to make a promise to someone that you might later on regret, कि अरे क्या promise कर दिया खुशी में आके, always take deep breath. Okay, what you are again doing is you are creating a gap between the time of the trigger, the time of the provocation, and your reaction to it, or your response to it, which basically gives time for your higher brain to come into play. Okay, it gives times for your higher brains to come into play, and then you are able to think more rationally, and to respond to it in a much better way. So the answer to your question is yes, breathing at the time of the provocation, or breathing, deep breathing at the time of that emotionally charged situation. And meditation is something that you should be doing all the time, or well, not all the time, but on a regular basis, on an everyday basis. Okay, and meditation is again many different kinds of meditation. Some people do breathing meditation, some people do meditation by fixating on a spot. So that really again depends on what suits you the best. But yes, meditation and breathing are very, very important. So you can make a note of this, and next time you feel that you're going to be in a situation like that, you can try this. Can you please ask the first question over here? I think one of you said that.
Okay, sir. I am putting the first poll.
Yeah. You read the screen.
I request participants to please answer the poll which is launched on your chat screen. It says that the part of the brain that causes a panic reaction is known as, and there are three options for that. A1 is multiple prefrontal cortex, number B is amygdala, and C is hippocampus. So I request all the participants to please answer the poll.
Okay. Okay, I think most of you have got the answer right. It is amygdala. Hippocampus is something that deals with memory, as far as I know. To the best of my memory, hippocampus is something that deals with memory. So I hope my hippocampus is not fooling me over here. And prefrontal cortex is, again, it's a part of the higher brain. Prefrontal cortex is the part of the higher brain, or this is again what we know as the third eye, or something that is behind our foreheads. When we say that people who are in a state of deep meditation, their prefrontal cortex or the third eye that becomes active, and that is when they become super intelligent. It is the amygdala, the red colored culprit that really hijacks the situation. Okay, thank you very much. So this is how you withstand an emotional hijack. Okay. So how well do you know yourself? Okay, so ask yourself, how well do you know yourself? You need to ask yourself these questions. I'm giving you a lot of questions that you need to be asking yourself, and I understand that this is the third session that you're attending since morning, but nevertheless, it is not compulsory for you to start answering these questions right now. But as and when you have the time and you're relaxed enough, you can actually start answering these questions for yourself. Self-reflection, very, very important. So meditation, or it's very, very important to spend time on self-reflection. Okay, many people have a habit of writing a diary, many people journal, or many people don't even write, but they spend some time in self-reflection, reflecting upon yourself, reflecting upon themselves. कि मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ? Okay, so what do you feel and when? Again, this is not very different from the questions that I asked you earlier. Okay, what were the emotions that you felt in the last 24 hours? Or what were the emotions that you felt predominantly, or what were the triggers for these emotions? These are just those questions asked in a different way, but it is more as a self-reflection. What do you feel and when do you feel? Okay, what are your values? What is your purpose? Okay, what are your skills? What is your work style? What is your leadership style? When you answer these questions, it is very important that you should be absolutely honest with yourself. Okay, be honest with yourself. Don't really try to defend yourself, saying that no, I'm always right, the other person is always wrong. And be honest with yourself. Okay, so what do you feel and when do you feel it? What kind of emotions do you feel? When do you feel them? In other words, what are the triggers for these emotions? Okay, what are your values? So it becomes very important, so that you understand that when those values are not being met, or if you feel that those values are being violated, that is why you might react in an agitated manner. Okay, what is your purpose, or what is it that drives you? What is it that makes you happy? What is it that makes you motivated? Okay, what are your skills? What are the things that you can do best? Okay, your work style, your leadership style. Okay, again, this will tell you if you're too harsh or you're too lenient with people, or it will give you a good idea on what kind of leader you are and what kind of person you are. This is self-reflection. Okay, so emotional intelligence starts with yourself, always starts with yourself. Okay, identify your own emotions correctly. Which emotion do you feel? When do you feel it? And how do you react when you feel that emotion? And also, what is the trigger? Okay, feel your feelings, acknowledge them. Okay, don't be in a state of self-denial. Okay, don't be in a state of self-denial. Many people you must have seen in a emotionally charged or an agitated situation, they say कि मैं तो गुस्से में नहीं था, और नहीं मैं तो दुखी नहीं था, और मैं तो डिप्रेस नहीं था. They are always, they are trying to deny to themselves. अपने आप से झूठ बोलते हैं. Okay, because they don't want to acknowledge their emotions. Acknowledge your emotions. You don't have to go around telling everyone that I was feeling happy, I was feeling sad. No, acknowledge them for yourself, that yes, I have these emotions and this is how I feel in a particular situation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. And express those emotions appropriately. Express them to a proper person. Again, you don't have to go around confiding in everyone or telling them to everyone, but someone who's close to you or maybe in yourself. But express them and identify the source. Okay. I'm again and again, since the beginning, this is the third time I'm telling you this thing. Identify the source. Identify the source. Okay. That's very, very important. What is it that triggers this emotion in you? Okay. Identify the source, because if you have to be in a leadership position or if you have to be in a team leader position, you need to be completely in control of your emotions. And not only because you have to take decisions as a leader, but also because you have to, uh, maintain a certain image in front of the people you are leading. Okay. Manage yourself. Okay. Self control, very, very important. Then I again come back to what you have, the question that you asked me about breathing and meditation, very, very important. Okay. So self control can be achieved in many ways. Deep breathing, extremely important. Meditation on a regular basis, on a daily basis, extremely important. Keep yourself physically fit. Do an exercise every day, whatever time of the day you feel like. Please exercise. So exercising makes you not only physically strong but also mentally robust, and you are able to manage your emotions well. Manage your triggers. Once you have identified your triggers, you can always find a way of putting some distance between yourself and those triggers, so that you don't put yourself in situations where you get agitated, or you can take care of yourself well. And of course, self care, uh, care of your health, care of your diet. Manage yourself well. I told you about people, that we talk about a person who is very much controlled or a person who doesn't get angry. If you see, they are the people who take good care of themselves. They are the people who take good care of their health. It's a complete package. You cannot say that I will ignore my physical fitness, I will ignore my physical health, and I'll be an emotionally intelligent person. It doesn't work that way. If you are physically not fit, not taking care of yourself, uh, you cannot be emotionally intelligent. So it's a complete package deal. So use self control, do some kind of a meditation, do deep breathing, do self reflection, understand your triggers, manage your triggers. Okay. And take care of yourself. Okay. Always put names on your emotions. So if you can see these pictures in front of you, I think it's very easy for you to name these emotions. These are the kind of emotions that, and emotions are universal. So name your emotions. Okay. Don't just say I was feeling angry, I was feeling sad. Okay, these are the names we most commonly have for emotions. Sometimes what you think is anger might actually be disgust. Sometimes what you feel sorrow might actually be, disappointment, and so on. So, how much time to be spent for exercise? Okay, so one of you has asked me how much time to be spent for exercise. I think 20 to 25 minutes every day is good enough. Even if you take a brisk walk for about 20 minutes a day, it helps you a lot. Okay. How to control overthinking? I will if you don't mind, what I will do is I will just finish the session first, and then I will come back to all your questions. But thank you for your questions. So how to control overthinking? I will tell you. Let me just finish this, then I'll tell you how to control overthinking. Okay. So yeah. So name your emotions. Okay. Identify and name your emotions correctly. Okay. That I was angry. Sometimes what you think is anger might actually be disgust, or it may even be disappointment. I told you, negative and positive emotions, they are both a part of a spectrum. Okay. All right. Understanding others, extremely important. Find out the top values of your colleagues and your team members. Normally we say that we are in a workplace to work and not to make friends. That has been the kind of prevalent thinking all along, which is fine. But to be good at your work, you have to be effective member of a team. And for a team to be effective, for there to be an effective team as such, I think it is important that you people know each other. Okay, know each other as people. So that's why, it's a very good idea, that over lunch or maybe over your tea time, have some nice casual chat with your colleagues. Or if you're a team leader, have some nice casual chat with your subordinates. Once in a while, go out for some kind of a outing or a get together. Know each other. Okay. Talk to each other, know each other. Okay, that doesn't mean you have to become absolutely great friends with everyone. That may or may not happen, but at least if you have a basic understanding of each other, if you have a basic understanding of what the values of the other person are, or what triggers the other person, or maybe some experiences that the other person has had in their life. Okay, it really helps you to work well with that person. So what limits to follow, what to do and what not to do while dealing with that person. Okay, and that makes a better team. Okay, so ask people, don't assume, ask them, what are your values, uh, what are the things that you value the most, what are the things that you really like to stand for, or what are the things that you like to see being done. Okay, uh, please understand that humans are wired for survival. Okay, I told you in the beginning when we looked at the layers of the brain, the very basic, the animal brain is wired for survival, and that is how we humans are wired. Okay, we are wired for survival, we are wired to belong, and then we are wired to become our best self. That's how it works. The first and foremost thing is that we want to survive. The next thing is that we want to belong to a group, and then if both these conditions are met, that is when we become our best self. Okay, if you see any situation in which a person is feeling insecure, or even if you're feeling insecure, you immediately understand that either your uh, you know desire for survival is being challenged, or your desire for belonging is being challenged. And when these are challenged, then you're not able to become your best self. Okay, as a leader or as a senior, whenever you feel that your subordinates are not willing to do something, or they are rebelling, or they are reacting in a negative manner, understand that whatever new decision that you have taken, or whatever thing that you're trying to do, is challenging either their instinct for survival or to belong, and that's why they are not being their best self. Okay, sometimes it can also mean that people have built nice cozy corners for themselves, comfort zone bana liya apna, usse bahar nahi aana hai. So of course in that case you can always push them, but then at least you have an understanding of why exactly it is that these people are not able to uh, you know either give their best, or they are behaving in the way they are behaving. Okay, extend empathy. The next step, after you have been able to understand the other people, understand their emotions, understand their triggers, you can extend empathy. Empathy does not mean that you start feeling like them. Okay, कि अगर वो दुखी है तो आप भी रोना शुरू कर दो, वो खुश है तो आप भी हंसना शुरू कर दो. ठीक है, empathy doesn't mean that. Empathy simply means that you understand the feelings and the reason behind their actions. Okay, now again let me reiterate over here, understanding the reasons behind their actions doesn't always mean that you condone those actions. Okay, if somebody has done something wrong, or if somebody has broken the law, or if somebody has broken a rule, then by all means you need to take action against those people. But if you can understand the reasons behind their actions, you can prevent it happening again. Okay, you can prevent it happening again. That is what empathy means. Okay, uh, people who deal, psychologists or psychiatrists who deal with many depressed patients, or many people who with mental conditions. Okay, they feel empathy. That doesn't mean that they start feeling depressed like all their patients, but they understand what exactly is causing the patient to be depressed, so that they are able to deal with them. That is what means by extending empathy. Understand the reason behind the action. Empathy doesn't mean you start feeling like them. Okay, can we have the second question, please? Can we have the second question,
Yeah,
please?
yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
Dear participants, a second poll has been launched on your chat screens, and it says that EI starts with, and your options are self-awareness, situation analysis, and studying the behavior of others. So I kindly request all the participants to please answer the poll.
Okay. So yeah, again, almost half of you have got it right. Emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness. Okay, it doesn't start with situation analysis. Situation analysis comes later. First thing you have to do is be aware of yourself. Okay, and not studying the behavior of others. It comes later. First, study yourself. First, understand yourself. Then we understand others. Anyway, so yeah. So create safety and inclusion. Okay, so we saw over here human beings are wired for survival and they are wired to belong. So this is all about, I showed you some time back relationship management. Okay, once you understand others, relationship management. So uh, once you understand that humans are wired for survival and they are wired to belong, it is only then that they can become their best self. Then you can understand the reasons behind other people's behavior. That maybe their wiring for survival is getting challenged or their wiring for belonging is getting challenged. And then you can create this kind of a physical environment for them or a safe environment for them where they feel physically safe, they feel professionally safe, job safety, and there is also safety about psychological safety. So there is trust, respect, and inclusion. Okay. So this is what we need to do: facilitate teams. Okay, people who are working under us or people who are working with us as our team members. So we need to assure them of their safety. Okay, physical safety, yes. Psychological safety, yes. Emotional safety, yes. When we say that a particular company has a very good work environment, what does it mean to have a very good work environment? A good work environment means that these people are providing them this safety. Next comes a sense of purpose. Okay, purpose and belonging. These two things go hand in hand. Once we take care of these, safety and purpose, the next two things they take care of themselves. We as leaders, or we as team members, or we as team leaders, we provide safety to our subordinates. Okay, by understanding and empathizing with their emotions, we provide them safety, a safe work environment where they can be physically safe, emotionally safe, give them a sense of purpose, let them know that yes, you belong. Okay, that is when they give their peak performance. Okay, one of the worst punishments that you can give someone is to ostracize that person. Safety है, लेकिन हम हमारे साथ बात नहीं करना, हमारे से दूर रहना. That is when our sense of belonging gets really challenged over here. Okay, human beings resist change. Okay, again, why human beings resist change? Human beings resist change because uh, change means that we are stepping out of our comfort zone. Just like I gave you the example of our ancient ancestors. So whenever they came into an absolutely new and an unknown area, they would feel unsafe because that was an unfamiliar environment for them. They didn't know where the next wild animal might jump at them from. Okay, so human beings resist change, and because in change something very new that happens, they feel that my safety is being challenged. 50 to 70% change initiatives fail because the people who have introduced the change, they might come with the best of the intentions, but they fail to really address the safety concerns of the people who have to face that change. So address the safety concerns while making a change. Okay, so please understand, if you are making some very good change in the company or the work environment, understand the concerns of the people and address those concerns. Okay, that's a very important part of leadership. Okay, and then of course share the passion and vision. Okay, this step comes next. First you address their safety concerns. First you assure them that even with the change and with the new initiative and with the new developments, things are going to be good. They are still not going to feel threatened in any way. And then you share a vision and passion with them. Without addressing their safety concerns, if we just start talking about lofty passions and vision, no matter how great they are, they will not sink in. But once they have been assured of their safety, once they know that yes, the new work environment with the changes is going to be safe for them, then you can be assured that they will embrace your changes and your new proposals with open arms. Okay. Uh, Transactional analysis. Now, this in itself is a very big topic, and we, I mean, I hope I get a chance to interact with you again. We will talk exclusively about transactional analysis, but to just briefly touch upon it, I'm sure some of you must have heard of this in the past. But before that, can we have the third question, please?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
The third question says that empathy means the ability to feel exactly like the other person. And your options are either it is yes, no, or depends on the situation. So participants kindly please answer the poll.
Okay, thank you. Well, the majority of you, 40% of you have said yes, 36% have said no, and rest have said depends on the situation. Well, no, the correct answer here is no. Uh, Empathizing doesn't mean that you feel exactly like the other person. Empathizing means you understand why the other person feels that way. Okay, you understand the reason behind their feelings. You don't feel like that person. I mean, if a person is angry, you don't start feeling angry with that person. Or if a person is excited, you don't start getting excited. Empathy means you understand why the person is feeling like this in a certain way. Understanding the reason behind those feelings. That is empathy. Okay. So, as I said, transactional analysis is, again, this in itself is a very big topic. And hopefully, if I can interact with you again in the future, I will talk exclusively about this. But just to briefly touch upon it, that all of us, every single human being, uh, we have three, you can say, ego states inside us: the parent ego state, the adult ego state, and the child ego state. Okay. The child ego state is basically all the learnings and on the influences that we got upon us as children, and they have become imprinted upon us as children. Adult ego state is typically when we are in our professional mode, when we are our logical, rational brain is thinking, and a parent ego state is when we are, thinking and talking and behaving like elders, caring, nurturing kind of people. So whenever you are in a situation where you are dealing with someone else, it is important that you understand which ego state you're dealing with. Okay, sometimes we say क्या बच्चे की तरह behave कर रहा है, तो बच्चे की तरह behave कर रहा है मतलब क्या कर रहा है, जिद कर रहा है, जिद पे अड़ा हुआ है, do this otherwise I'll not talk to you, I want this to be done this way. That's how small children behave, right? And when a person is behaving like that, that is when you say that yes, this is a child ego state. Adult ego state is when, you know you're thinking absolutely facts and figures, rational thinking, no emotions involved. That is an adult ego state. And a parent ego state is nurturing, caring, that is a parent ego state. So it's very, very important that any kind of a conversation or interaction that has to happen between two people, it has to happen at the same level. So it has to be child to child, adult to adult, and parent to parent. The conversation will go very smoothly. If it is a cross conversation happening, if that other person is trying to tell us something as an adult to adult, and we are talking parent to child, then there is bound to be miscommunication somewhere. Okay. uh, it's very, very interesting to understand this again. If you have been in situations like this, you would like to do a bit of an analysis in this, as to why there was a miscommunication over here, because maybe I was trying to talk to that person as an adult, and that person was talking to me as a parent talking to child, or vice versa. And that is where the miscommunication happened. Miscommunication doesn't always mean people not talking to each other. It also means not talking from the same, ego state. So again, as I said, in constraint of time, I'm only going to briefly touch upon this, but hopefully we will talk in detail about this topic somewhere in the future. So next step is once you have become aware of emotional intelligence in yourself, you can identify and develop that in others, identify people, make a plan and focus for them. Thank you very much. I would now like to take on some of the questions.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
I can
I
see
see
that
some of you.
many questions
Yeah, there are many questions. There are many
are
questions. So
posted in the chat box. Yeah.
let me see. Okay, let me see. How much time to be spent for exercise? That was the last question that I answered. So again, unless you want Olympic level fitness, I think 20 to 25 minutes of exercise every day is good enough. It keeps you reasonably fit, and it gives you also the mental fitness that you need. At least if you can take half an hour, at least half an hour of brisk walk with some light exercise is good enough, but do that every day. It's very important to be regular. ये मत बोलो कि मैं पूरे हफ्ते का एक्सरसाइज एक दिन में कर लिया, 4 घंटे एक्सरसाइज कर लिया, doesn't help. Okay, regular every day. Okay. How to control overthinking? So first step in controlling overthinking is to know that you are into overthinking and what are the topics that you overthink about. Okay. And typically we overthink when we have a lot of time, when we have nothing else to do, when we have empty time on our hands. That is when we overthink. So ideally, if you can cultivate a hobby, something to keep yourself occupied in your kind of empty hours, that will always have your higher brain working. And the next thing to do is always be aware of this. You can maybe start having some kind of reminders for yourself, maybe on your phone or maybe on your laptop. Whenever you get into an overthinking mode, just stop and ask yourself, what is it that I'm thinking about and why am I thinking about this? Writing down helps. If you're the kind of person who overthinks, write down what are the topics that you overthink about. Why do you overthink about them? And what is the worst case scenario that you think about them? Okay. And ask yourself every day before you go to sleep, how much time did you spend overthinking today? Do this for a few days and you will realize that automatically the next time you start overthinking, you will automatically stop yourself. अपने आप वो red flag ऊपर चला जाएगा and you will realize, अरे I'm overthinking, I have to stop. Okay. The idea is to acknowledge it and to address it. So what is it that I overthink about? Why do I overthink about it? ये अपनी डायरी में लिखो. It will take you about a month's time, not more than that. Next time you start overthinking, automatic your red flag will go up. Okay. Emotions, is it due to hormone variations in body? Yes, emotions are due to hormone variations in body and vice versa. Okay. Whenever we experience strong emotions, they trigger hormone variations also. So these both things affect each other. Because of hormone variations, you feel emotions, and because of emotions going out of control, hormone variations happen. So yes. How to dampen negative thinking? Exactly what is negative and positive thinking? Let me clarify that first. Many people think that positive thinking means that you only think positively, okay, there is nothing bad and everybody is good and there is no bad situation in my life. That is not positive thinking. You can be fully aware of the negative things around you. You can be fully aware of the bad people around you. You can be fully aware of the dangers around you and still be a positive thinker. Positive thinking simply means that, yes, whatever the situation is, I will come out of it successfully and I will be able to, come out of it stronger. How to dampen negative thinking? Be confident about yourself, be self-aware, know what your strengths are, know what your talents are, know what your skills are, know what you can do. Automatically, once you are confident about your own professional competence and your skills, and you know that yes, you can come out of a particular situation successful, your negative thinking goes down. Negative thinking most of the time comes from low self-esteem or low confidence in yourself and low confidence in your abilities. Okay, I'll not be able to deal with it. I will fail. Things will, go wrong. Something bad will happen. But once you know that I can deal with it, I have the necessary skill and the talent to deal with it. Whatever the situation, I'll come out of it. Your negative thinking goes down. Okay. How to make yourself mentally strong? Please do meditation for at least half an hour every day. amazing thing, believe me. Whatever different forms of meditation, but if you do it again regularly, you will be mentally strong. Okay, you will be much more focused. But again, just like physical exercise, you have to be consistent with it. You have to build it into your routine. But do meditation, do it on a regular basis. You may not be able to do it for half an hour initially. Start off with 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Dheere dheere badhao. Amazing. You will see the results. Believe me. Most of the times we know, I'm reading out the next question. Most of the times we know how we feel. We even know how it is being triggered, but even then we are not able to control how we feel, and it affects how we react. For example, I know I can't control this situation, but even then I can't stop myself from reacting. Hence it troubles and affects me. Then try not to be in a situation like that. Okay. If you're really having difficulty, in spite of being aware of the trigger, if you are having difficulty dealing with that, then try to avoid the situation if possible. If you can't avoid that situation, then I think it's, practice makes perfect. Start, you can at least start trying to control yourself. Deep breathing karo. Okay, do some deep breathing. Or if it's a kind of a situation where somebody is hell-bent upon provoking you and making you react in a certain way, counter them with silence. ठीक है कि आप बोलते रहो जो आपको बोलना है. I'll not say anything. I'll go silent. Okay. Or whatever that person is trying to provoke you about, joke about it. उसके बारे में ही joke मारो. थोड़ी देर में वो भूल जाएगा. When the person sees that, अरे ये तो this person is not getting agitated or angry. This person is not reacting to me in an angry manner. ठीक है. Or instead of getting triggered, this person is उल्टा मेरे पे joke मार रहा है. That person will stop. But you have to practice this. Again, there is no magic trick or there is no magic stick. You have to, once you know what is to be done, you have to do it. Okay. So once I tell you that you have to manage your trigger, you have to actually manage it. Once I tell you that you have to react in a certain way or avoid reaction, then you have to do that. Once you do that, once you start behaving in a certain way to a certain situation, you are wiring your brain to react like that again and again. Okay. And then automatically, whenever you are in that kind of a situation, you will react like that, the way you are supposed to react. Okay. Very interesting session. Thank you very much. Informative session. Again, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure sharing all this with you. How do we respond to our co-workers' challenges us or triggers us for anger? I need quick, immediate solution. Oh, okay. Again, as I said, it depends on who the co-worker is and what exactly the trigger is. See, most of the time people trigger you because they want you to react in a certain way, angrily, so that they can go around telling everyone, look, no, this person is behaving like this, aise behave karti hai, and avoid reacting. Okay. Your lack of reaction will cause the trigger to disappear. If somebody is deliberately trying to trigger you, stop reacting. Deep breathing karo. Breathe in, breathe out deeply a few times. Don't react. Don't react. Believe me, next time that person is trying to provoke you, just give that person a blank look. Keep looking at that person. Smile karo. Okay. If possible, whatever that person is trying to provoke you with, usi pe joke maro. Do this a couple of times and you will find that person will be like, stop reacting like this. Okay. It is your adverse reaction. It is your angry reaction. It is your agitated reaction that gives strength to the trigger. Stop giving that strength. Stop giving that strength. They want to see you angry. They want to see you reacting angrily. They want to see you getting provoked. Stop doing that. Okay. If possible, get up and walk out of there. Ignore that person. Next time that person is trying to say something, koi snide remark mara, kuch bola, aapko ignore. Talk to other people. Ignore this person. And that person will know, that person, they will know their place. Okay. Thank you, sir. A great session. Thank you very much. Nice session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any more questions? Let me just see.
Yeah, no, so there are no more questions. If there are any more questions from any of our participants, you will please ask it or write in the chat box, or otherwise we will sum up with the session.
Okay.
Sir, I don't think there must be any question now, since you really described all the things very, very well. And you also answered all the questions very effectively. And so by these questions, I think all the queries have been effectively solved.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you so much, sir. It was really, really a very great session. And I would like to conclude the session. Some key points I would like to highlight. There are so many things you taught us. It's very difficult to highlight some few points, but I will try. You told us about the emotional intelligence. You told us that emotional intelligence is basically how understanding we are, how well we understand ourselves, how well emotions because of which we react in these ways, and how we must manage our stress and triggers, and how to control these things. These are the basic key learnings which we got from your session, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Really, it was really a great session. We all enjoyed a lot and also learned a lot. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I would like to present a token of appreciation in the form of the certificate, sir,
Thank
which
you.
is
Thank you very
displayed on
much.
your screen. Sir, can you see the certificate which is displayed?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It is a token of appreciation on behalf of the Sage Group and SIT Pharmacy for your valuable efforts. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
It was
Thank
really
you
a
so
great
much, sir,
session.
for such a wonderful session, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Vicky,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello? Yes, ma'am. Am I audible now, ma'am? Now, I would like to present before our participants our schedule for tomorrow, which is displayed on your screen. Our first lecture for tomorrow will be conducted by Dr. Smita Raj Jain ma'am on the topic human values and professional ethics. And from 12 p.m. onwards, second lecture will be conducted by Dr. Pooja Mehta ma'am on the topic how to be positive all the time. And from 2:30 p.m. onwards, the third lecture will be conducted by Mr. Nitin sir on the topic the life-changing magic of the positive attitude. So I kindly request all the participants to please join us back again tomorrow sharp at 9:55, and we'll begin our lecture at 10 a.m. by Dr. Smita Raj Jain ma'am, and thereafter Dr. Pooja Mehta ma'am, and after that Mr. Nitin sir. So kindly request all the participants to please join us back tomorrow. And thank you so much all the participants for joining us today with this day 2 of AICTE sponsored short-term training program. We hope to meet you again tomorrow for day 3 AICTE sponsored short-term training program. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.